friggin' wires, dude. They need like a wireless setup for the mics. They probably have it, and I'm just, more poor than the people who use it. Right? Welcome back to Screen Preach for episode 63. The Fear Street Trilogy. Plus the Loki finale recap. I can even say the Loki season 1 finale recap, 'cause officially now. And your usual updates and news in cinema and television. And our speed round of cinematic related segments to finish out the episode as usual. As usual, we need to spice things up soon and change things up a little bit again. I need new things for the show. Format changes and whatnot. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to start doing some guest spots, guest hosts soon. That's a cool idea like that. We could do a new setup, maybe change the studio up for those particular episodes. I could always do these episodes. There's always, you could switch it up for the other kinds of multi-hosted episodes. Have a different setup for that. I'm gonna try not to stutter. So you see? Have you noticed? Every episode, it's like getting the words out, that are in my fucking head. Just out. Smoothly. Clearly. There's no problem. See, even that is a small stutter. I should have just said there's no problem. Not there's no problem. Whatever, dude. Whatever. I do what I want with this. This is my, hey, come see what Ben's been thinking about all week with his nerdy fucking obsessions. That's what we're doing. And, yeah. This is a good one, though. This is like, I think this is the first time I've done a regular episode that's about, more than one movie. Like, it's not a special or anything, but like the way that they, released this movie event on Netflix just happened to be a trilogy event that's interesting. It's cool idea. Saw the I literally just started to see the billboards for it as I was driving around. That's what let me know about him. And, yeah. I need to shake things up a little bit because I need to find more creative time for my writing. This is time consuming. It is. It's fun, but it would be more fun if two things. It was less time consuming and it had more of a following. Obviously. The two things that any big podcast has, right? They have people working for them, so they don't have to do shit but come in here and just talk. Just bullshit for an hour. They sit down, everything's set up when they get here, they do their thing, and then they leave. Someone takes care of it. They look on Instagram a couple days later, and there's a preview for the episode that they didn't put together. But they, they're approving things, whatever, obviously. And then, yeah, more of a following, obviously. Nobody watched the Black Widow episode. What the fuck's that about? Is it because nobody saw it yet? Go fucking see it. It's ready to go. You need to see this movie. And but you know what? That's the thing. People are used to me being full of spoilers. That particular episode, that review is spoiler free, okay, except for the post-credit scene, which I mention as I'm going along, so you have plenty of time to click off if you're worried about it. I guess I take that back. People watched the actual, I split it up this week this past week. There's a solo video for the review, so people did watch the review. But you got to click that episode, and you got to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the like button on the video, and you got to, comment what you thought of the episode and the movie topic, Loki, anything, something in the news that intrigued you that you're like, oh shit, I didn't know about that. Do you think blah 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 blah? Get in there. Get slide in the comments. Otherwise, this is just like here for a good time, not a long time kind of thing. Just like a fun experience to run a podcast and a podcast page and all that for a period of time. Do I just 100 episode this bitch and then we done? That's the finale and we're done with Screen Preach, and then maybe we come back, or maybe we start a new one when the time is right, because it's a lot, and it's something I'm thinking about. Might do a hundy and then call it. Might not. Might just keep going. It's just those weeks where I'm like, fuck. Those weeks that I'm thinking about it. Otherwise, I'm usually good. I keep going through where, it's Friday, time to do this, that. Like for instance, today was one of those days. It's 10 o'clock. I could have started this 2 hours ago when I finished watching the third movie in this trilogy we're going to talk about today. But I'm just tired, man. Just fucking tired, dude. Dragged it out. But we're here. We're finally sitting right here and we're ready to go for another one. The new merch that my patrons got. Yeah, you didn't think I had one for myself? You didn't think I had one for... Yeah. You didn't know I could sing? And so I didn't get my posters in yet. The next 6 episode arc of this season, which will be Goodfellas and Django, they didn't come in. So this is a holdover. Just what's usually on my wall. These two are up higher, just usually sitting on my wall. I just moved them down, and they're going to hold us over this week. They're not the next phase of set posters. And we can move on to the news of the week this week, which was... Yeah, I know, right? Last week we did Loki after the news. I liked it, so I'm going to do it that way again. Maybe it gives me even more time to gather my thoughts on that finale. How can you really even... just... I think there's a chance that people were underwhelmed by Black Widow because of how good Loki is. That whole run there happening at the same time. Maybe some people kind of... There's a few things. The one thing I keep seeing that bothers the shit out of me with this is when people say, well, it should have come out... If it had come out after Civil War, I would have liked it more. I mean, okay, I guess that's like the laziest comment you could make, because there were actual flaws with Black Widow that they could have done a little better. And that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, would be great because that's where it goes in the timeline. But that made it worse a movie for you. That's dumb. I don't get that. You know where it takes place in the timeline. Who cares when it came out? That means you never want Marvel to do anything in the past. There's so much story there. Fuck it. Don't ever go backwards. Don't do the Eternals then. Don't do fucking... If they wanted to do Isaiah Bradley's fucking Captain America storyline, don't do it. Because it doesn't take place What is that? Shut your mouth, okay? Yeah, we'll do the news first this week because it started slow too, but it got better. It picked up. There was some stuff that came in just recently that were interesting and worth talking about, worth bringing up here now. Things that you should keep your eyes peeled for. Keep your eyes open. Keep your wits about you. So just to keep you updated on how the box office is playing out now with Marvel in there, bringing it back to life. I mean, is there a chance that after Black Widow has its run, that things kind of slow down again? Yeah, I think so. I think Marvel really does have that kind of impact. They crossed 200 million, and that was a couple days ago. So they're where now? Almost 3. They almost. We'll say almost. They crossed 200, and 200 million globally, which in pandemic era is the most we've seen. Yeah, remember when 200 million on the first weekend was kind of like, globally, was kind of like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's not really that, it's kind of that probably would have been like a failure if that were the number in regular times, right? I don't know. Fucking Solo, a Star Wars story. Remember that whole fucking thing? When it was like, it only got, it crossed 500 million globally. Damn, it really bombed. Like, Jesus. Like, I'm like, that's a bomb? And it is. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. I'm probably way off, actually, too, with all this shit. How many if you're listening to this or watch this, that's great, dude, because we're all on the same page here when it comes to like knowing what's gonna happen. I'm just as in the dark. The point is to circulate a conversation, because I have what I think and you have what you think, and then there's a chance we meet in the middle and we're maybe correct about what's gonna... What am I talking about right now? This is what I mean. If I'm not consistently creating, if I'm not consistently writing, my brain like just starts to... I don't know, man. I haven't even been fully satisfied with my I'm watching movies now, and I can't pick up on things like I was. Not recently. Big part of that is because I've had to work even more hours because it's slowed down ever since everything opened up. It has slowed down, and now I have to work even more hours, and it's just insane. It's like, why do I do this? I should just hunt down some kind of production job and be a slave to that, because at least in that, I'm in my field, and I'm meeting people in my field, right? But then I think the freedom I have, being able to make my own schedule and not have to answer to fucking nobody, is the really nice part about it, obviously. Black Widow, stunner. Yeah, that whole thing about them crossed, right? They made 80 million in theaters, and then they made 60 million on Disney Plus, which is like, Jesus, that's really big. That's the most numbers for streaming. Like, that's crazy, dude. Does it change things going forward? Will more people stay home? Maybe it's just a new, really is a new day and age for movies, movie going. But with that being said, it's not like people don't want to have that experience. That's the thing. I think that's what's great. I think you can't really kill the movie theater business because there will always be the desire to have the actual experience of going to a movie theater and seeing something in a movie theater. So that's good. It just will probably start to be less than it was. It might be a thing of the past when we had those big fucking, I don't know. You don't know. I mean, it's interesting to think about and see how that goes going forward here. It could really actually change like that, man. It really could. Nicolas Cage is officially out for the Joe Exotic. Remember, he was cast to play Joe Exotic on the in that Tiger King adaptation, or yeah, would it be? It's not an adaptation. It's not. Is it? Yeah, it is, because there's a source material. There's the whole true story, but it was a documentary, so that's, yeah. That whole adaptation that they're doing, Nicolas Cage is out now. He won't be playing the lead in that. And then, yeah, I posted about Loki season 2, but don't forget, they kind of already said that Loki would have a season 2 way back, like 6 months ago, maybe. They mentioned how they rehired the head writer to start working on the second season. It wasn't official, but yeah, I was always under the impression if any show was gonna drop that bomb on us that they're gonna do a second season, it was gonna be Loki, and here we go, officially confirmed. That was the biggest news. Other than this, I think this is interesting. So, most intriguing thing that I saw in the news, in movie and television news this week, was that the next Star Trek movie has officially hired a director to helm the project, whatever they decide to do with the story, wherever it's going, because it could be a continuation of Kirk's storyline, Chris Pine's Kirk, but it could also be a completely different storyline. It could be something else. They have talked about different possible next Star Trek movies that I'm kind of like, which one? What direction are they going to go in? But either way, this next one will have a director, and it's Matt Shakman. Matt Shakman is the guy who brought to life the vision of Jack Schaefer when he did WandaVision this past year. So he was the director of WandaVision, and I mean, dude, he's directed an episode of The Boys. Like, he's a really good TV director, so I'm curious to see what he brings to the Star Trek universe, and that's interesting enough to talk about and think about as we go forward. We'll see what other updates for this fourth Star Trek film come out as well. Now that they've hired a director, you could expect to see more updates more consistently as we go forward. And now the curious question of, did I just hear someone knock at my door? Who's that knocking at your door? No, because Donut would have fucking heard it and been like, oh, hi. Yeah, the Emmys. It's all Marvel, man. So WandaVision got a lot of nominations at the Emmys. Best Drama Series, Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Writing, Best Directing, all the big ones. And then I'm thinking the Falcon and the Winter Soldier only got like stunt, and it got guest appearance for Don Cheadle's roadie. Interesting. That's what they do. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier should also be in all those other categories. Honestly, it should be in Best Series, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best all. It should, I think. But I'm not in the masses, I think, when it comes to that one. masses. I'm not in the majority when it comes to to that one as much. People loved WandaVision. I loved WandaVision, but I'm saying that Falcon and Winter Soldier was also very good. And then and the Mandalorian, obviously, but yeah, I just think it's funny how Marvel really has tackled every kind of arena they could possibly tackle, so they figured why not shoot for the Emmys now too, and other categories in the Golden Globes that we can now qualify for. It's funny. You're already the biggest studio in the freaking world. Might as well say that. The world. Let's shoot for trying to grab Emmys. Yeah, I didn't actually watch the iCarly revival yet. Has anyone seen it? Comment below. Let me know if it was good and if it's worth watching. Because they have actually confirmed it for a second season now. So, iCarly fans, you have iCarly completely back, like doing multiple seasons of it. And that's the word I look for now. Remember when I was like, since when does reunion not mean a legit narrative reunion? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Friends, they're not doing what I consider to be a reunion. That's because that's a reunion, and then revival is when they actually come back and do something in terms of narrative for the characters you knew. Something new, something now. That's the word I'm looking out for then. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to watch the reunion for Friends, 100%. But I don't care as much about those. I want to see a revival. I like to see what's going on with the characters if we visit them again, years later. I like that kind of stuff. So, just some terminology update that you didn't fucking need, but that I thought, why not? I give you every other kind of update you can possibly think of on this show that you don't need. And then people are probably like, dude, Benji, why are you so hard on yourself on the show? It's because I can be. Don't fucking tell me I can't. I'm allowed to do that. Alright. That was it? I thought it was really starting to pick up at the end of the week here. There were more things that I wanted to talk about. There wasn't. Anyone see Deadpool and Korg trailer? That was funny. It's kind of like a hint for Disney's hinting that Deadpool will be around soon enough. But they had Deadpool and Korg because Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi, who voices Korg, are both in the movie that the next Ryan Reynolds movie that's coming out. Free Guy, which they did a trailer breakdown, and it was Deadpool and Korg. It was pretty funny. You should check it out. That riffing between them two, just that would actually be a funny little scene in an actual movie too, if the two of them were in a scene together. And then today, just in, Antonio Banderas joins Indiana Jones 5. That's fucking cool. He totally fits. That's good casting for that movie. I don't know. We don't know who he's playing, but he's in the fifth Indiana Jones. So that is the news of this past week here in cinema and television. We can move on to our Loki episode 6 finale recap, spoiler filled, because we gotta talk about the end and the biggest twist of all. And like I said, and like it is every week, it's a twist. There's a reveal every episode, right? I've been saying that, and they were saving it for the biggest one for last. And I mean, look, I never said it before on this show, but it was always in the back of my mind. There's some people who were pretty confident it was going to be who it was. But I just really honestly didn't know. It could have been... It's not that I didn't think it was who it was. It's just that I almost they threw me off a little bit because I know that so Jonathan Majors. I guess I'm talking about this first. I should I mean, why not? He's in the whole fucking episode, right? How do I want to break this down? Because yeah, they're that's it. I mean, they go to this place that the previous episode left us on. It's like, oh, there it is, that temple or palace or whatever at the end of time, at the end of everything, and yeah, pretty quickly they get to meet who has been running the whole show, the TVA, everything, and it's fucking Kang. It's Kang, the Conqueror, but it's not too at the same time, which I'll break down a little bit more for people who are not really aware of how Marvel Comics has played with this character now that has made his MCU debut in Loki, which is why I was thrown off. Right? They casted Jonathan Majors, who plays the character. They casted him in Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, which is like as Kang the Conqueror, which is like, okay, whoa, makes sense though. It's a movie too. That's where he would make his MCU debut, not on one of the shows, but it makes the shows must watch. You know, you gotta watch the shows. You wouldn't know who this is if you didn't. The implications of this finale alone, the ramifications it will have on the storylines going forward, that speaks to how important it is to actually watch the Disney Plus shows. Still can't smoothly say a sentence without my fucking hiccups in it. Still, everything I fucking say, there's a fucking like I'm fucking something. Shit. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't record on Friday night anymore. Maybe that's part of the problem. But then when would I do it? For a Saturday during the day is like, it doesn't look good set wise. It doesn't look good either. The fucking glare bothers me. I don't know how to do lighting. Yeah, that's why I was thrown off. And yeah. You know, you give yourself a little prompt here to help use it. Just, I think I also was like, dude, why did Miss Minutes pop up? You know, we see her first and she's like, he wants to cut a deal with you. You know, you can have everything you ever wanted if you just follow the fucking get in line, you know? And I'm like, at first when she popped up, I was like, oh shit, are they gonna throw another dumb fucking Mandarin moment at us from Iron Man 3 where it's like completely a fake out kind of thing? But no, they didn't do that at all. They did the best possible scenario here they could have done. Now, the really biggest, most enjoyable part about watching the finale, besides being on the edge of my seat for the whole thing, was watching Jonathan Majors actually just completely embody the character in one scene, in one swift episode appearance. He is he's the perfect casting. Like, I knew he was gonna be. I couldn't wait to see him to play Kang the Conqueror, to play Nathaniel Richards is the other half here that I want to talk about. And I don't know if that's not something that is like, oh shit, don't say that, because we should it's kind of like a big spoiler that we should learn in the moment, right? No, I don't think so, just because that's how it is in the comics. If you would know that. I guess if you don't read the comics, it's spoiler for you, but fuck it, dude, because it doesn't really matter who he's related to. It just matters that he's as dangerous as they come. He's the most dangerous being in the Marvel Universe, aside from a few other people. I mean, he's top 3, top 4 of all the villains. Because of the kind of control he has over things. Look at what he did here. Look at the strings he's pulling. He created an agency, an organization to literally monitor time and timeline, and multiverse, and everything. Like, that is power. That's serious fucking power. And you wouldn't want a crazy maniac running that shit. Which is also why I don't think we met Kang the Conqueror yet. We met just Nathaniel Richards, he is Kang the Conqueror. He's like he says, I got these variants of myself that are not as benevolent or forgiving as I am. They're actually way fucking worse, and the worst of them is Kang the Conqueror. I'm the way I see it, it's probably either that there's a few different versions of this character we see in a few different storylines and chapters of the MCU going forward. A few of them being really bad, a couple of them being decent or good, and then the one being the worst, the actual Kang the Conqueror. There's gotta be one of them that's like the actual big bad. That's how I see it. Because I think even another variant of Kang or Nathaniel is a kid version of him, where he's Iron Lad and a member of the Young Avengers. So there are actual good versions of this character we've met, but there's also the worst of the worst version. And yeah, I just think it's very possible that who we met here in this episode wasn't the actual person who goes on to be the big bad villain of this next saga of the MCU. But it hinted at that in the most extreme possible way it could have. So yeah. I also think it's a clear setup, the ramifications here, anything going forward. And I've been questioning too. Does Hawkeye take place before this? Does Ms. Marvel take place before this? Because they both come out before. Even Eternals, dude. Because they've been known to do this before, where they have some things come out not in chronological order, and then later when you rewatch it is when you would do it in chronological order. But so is Hawkeye, is Ms. Marvel, are they happening before this? I can tell you what's definitely happening after it, and what this big fucking blow up moment does is set up those films, specifically the two that come directly after the remaining storylines of this year, which are Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, and Eternals, Shang-Chi. Like those wow, that's a lot. Shit. There's just so many. Dude, the fact that we already had WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, and Black Widow already in this past 6 months is fucking wild. Never had this much Marvel content before. it's all been good quality too. So they're still doing it. But yeah, I'm just curious where he actually takes place in the timeline. Because right now, the way I see it, I'm watching it if I'm rewatching it, I'm watching WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, obviously Spider-Man Far From Home, I guess, yeah, and then Shang-Chi and Hawkeye and all those. I'm watching all those before I watch Loki. And then Loki, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which are the two that they are definitely, the ramifications of this are going to directly affect those two movies specifically. Probably setting them up to be very, very wild because of the impact that creating a multiversal war has. So that's what happened here. I also think the most important moment in this episode, character moment, is the decisions made by our two Lokis, by Loki and Sylvie, by the protagonists we've been following. And I think it's that it officially divides them as individuals. The final, straw, the final nail in the coffin on them being two separate people, separate characters that are, yes, are they the same person technically? But yes, but they're, as I've been saying, different people. And it's that it comes down to a literal declaring of the fact that she's not him. Sylvie says, I'm not you. And that is the final nail in the coffin, that she's an individual person and wouldn't take the exact actions that Loki would just because they're both Lokis. They're their own people. And she is the one who betrays in this. In this case, it is not our Loki, who we're used to seeing betray, that betrays. It is Sylvie. And she does it out of hatred towards the TVA and this particular person who's been running it. She does it out of revenge. And she does it out of pain and torment. And it clouds her vision. And it causes, the worst possible thing that could have happened is that man, Nathaniel Richards, or King, or in this case, who he really is so far to us, is He Who Remains. That's who we know him as at this point. That's the only name we get. He Who Remains was actually telling the truth. And the fact that that is the case is really bad for everybody, because she killed him. And it looks like the multiverse just blew wide the fuck open. So you don't think that the Sorcerer Supreme, Stephen Strange, has a lot of cleaning up to do, has a lot to fucking deal with? He does. Don't forget, I keep forgetting, Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man 3. So yeah, Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange 2, which has fucking Wanda in it, those two movies are directly after this. Have to be. They're the two movies that are gonna be directly affected by what the fuck just happened here. To start with, and then everything else too is gonna be affected. Assuming that they can't fix what's going on, Maybe they find a way to contain it or something. But it's really gonna be fucking wild to watch. But Jonathan Majors, his performance overall is the best thing. Was so fucking. It was great to see that he's really gonna be great as this. He was he was so likable too. You like him, and you're like, fuck, this guy's. He's gonna fuck shit up. He could fuck shit up. And it turns out not him specifically, but versions of him could really fuck shit up. And when Loki returns to the TVA and he says those words, he's an extremely dangerous being. And when he seems scared, I'm fucking scared. I was scared. Things just got crazy. And then And then, of course, the big thing is, what the fuck is going on? It's like immediate thing. There were immediate changes when Sylvie did what she did and stabbed him. Immediate changes because Mobius didn't recognize Loki. Loki was trying to talk to Mobius and he didn't even recognize him. And then he turns and he sees a statue of fucking of He Who Remains. Didn't see that before. That wasn't there. Mobius, what? So I'm thinking there were immediate... Something happened that caused like a... There's a couple of things that could have happened. Some kind of temporal anomaly, which there will be multiple of because of this, not just in one place. Or when he was thrown back to the TVA, he was thrown to like another a branch reality of it, or like another version of it or something. But then that wouldn't make sense because the TVA has always been this space outside of any timeline, right? But then again, now with this happening, it could affect everything, including the TVA. So I mean, why wouldn't it too? The TVA without the man in charge of it, what is it? It's chaos. It's chaos. It's just it doesn't know what to do. So I'm really not sure. And who knows what the fuck? He also asked like a weird question. It was very strange cliffhanger. It's like giving you very specific details that are confusing. It's like he's like, "What unit are you with?" He said something like that to Loki. It makes me think, like, what do they, like, have Loki's working for them in this branch reality or something? Like, my mind was racing with what anything this could have possibly been. I have no idea. But what is going on? What's going to happen? And that's where we're at. I mean, this show was always supposed to set things off in the next direction of this entire mega narrative, and it did exactly that. It set up big storylines coming, big conflict, and more fun for us, and more heartbreak, and more laughs, and more of all those emotions that we feel when we watch this continue to just saturate our screens and our minds and everything. I guess that's it, man. I don't know. I'm trying to think of more really touching moments, if there were any, that I mean, they finally kissed. We saw that coming a mile and a half away. Loki and Sylvie, or Loki and Loki kissing each other. I mean, could you imagine if we all just ran into female versions? Sorry, if we all just ran into female or male versions, like just opposite sex versions of ourselves, would we all just want to be with ourselves? It's like a question that you never, like, that the TV show or movies never really asked before. That we're all kind of thinking about a little bit as we watch this. We're like, Jesus. But yeah, there were some little moments too with Renslayer, and she's supposed to be a big character going forward. She was a big character in the comics too. Her and Mobius, and I'm still wondering if they're gonna pull on that Mobius thread at some point. Mobius is supposed to end up like being like a clone in the comics. He's like a clone. Like there's a bunch of Mobiuses. I wonder if they end up pulling that thread still, or not. Anyway, let's kind of just move on, because I've been rambling a lot in this episode. This is one of those ramble-ons. Ramble on. And now that's the time. Time is now. Speaking of time, sing my song. And you didn't know I could sing. Little Black Widow follow-up. Just things that keep popping into my head. Because, you watch a movie and then you have to sit with it a little bit. Then some things kind of come to you. I was annoyed with the fact that we didn't learn who the widow was that actually created the antidote the thing that they're trying to use on all the widows and reverse all the everything, right? The big, like, our 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 MacGuffin, if you will, our object of our obtainable object, that thing that in this film is the antidote that Yelena sends to Natasha to keep away from Dreykov. They never reveal who the widow was that created it, because they just throw that at you like an old widow, one of the earliest widows, they say, or something like that, created this antidote. That's what they say. They say it's, but they never actually reveal who it is. And I'm just thinking, dude, it's got to be Melina. And they're telling you in, it's like this thing where they're telling you in not so many words, right? It's like, it was Melina. You could tell because she's the scientific one who does all this shit. In the first place, it's got to be her that also created. I was waiting for that moment, too. I was waiting for a moment where she literally, goes back on what she said. Natasha called her a coward. I was waiting for the moment where she goes, "You're not a coward," or something like that. And Melina's like, "I know, dear. Who do you think created the antidote in the first place?" or something like that. But they didn't give it to us, so they never actually reveal who created it. I'm still thinking it's Melina who did, but that's just either a poor writing mistake on their part, or just for some other reason they didn't tell us. I don't know. Also, the fact that we don't actually see how Natasha gets away from Ross the second time at the very end of the movie was something that, after rethinking about, has annoyed me. And I'm thinking that's probably where Tony Stark's cameo was, but they cut it out. Because who else could get her out of it if she's actually caught? Because Tony would, at that point, he's been thinking about things too. He's not as angry. I mean, he already put Ross on hold at that point at the end of Civil War and let Steve kind of have his fucking head start and didn't help. So he'd do the same thing for anyone else on the run at that point. I would see him stepping in and finding a way to, like, help her escape. We just don't get an answer there. How did she get away the second time? Seems strange. And then the whole Alexei facing off against Captain America was my most intriguing, most fun thing to keep thinking about. He says it like a bunch of times, how he fought Captain America, but the time period that he's talking about, Steve Rogers was in ice. So it couldn't have been Steve Rogers, but that doesn't mean it wasn't Captain America. It could have been somebody else. So who else do we know? Now at this point, we know there are other Captain Americas. What if he faced off against Isaiah Bradley? Remember? The black Captain America from Falcon and the Winter Soldier that we met. What if that's who he fought? Timing-wise, it probably works out, too. I mean, Isaiah was Captain America, during the Cold War? Who the fuck were we fighting during the Cold War? The Russians. Therefore, makes sense to me. Probably faced them. That's assuming Alexei isn't just lying about that, but I don't think he is. Honestly, he could have. Just a couple of little things. Follow up. Oh yeah, we're riffing. We're riffing tonight. I'll do the topic of the episode swiftly. And it is, this week, the Fear Street Trilogy. Something I definitely wanted to watch and talk about because I was intrigued by it. I didn't know what this was. I just knew that it, for some reason, to me, it had like a Stranger Things kind of feel, but more horror and less like sci-fi. And then it was the billboards that hooked me. I was like, holy shit, they're doing 3 movies over 3 weeks. That's really ambitious. That's something. Not ambitious on part of Netflix. They'll do anything. On the part of the filmmakers. Like, it's really that's some awesome project that they did. I mean, I'm curious about the filming of it, how long it took. Did you do it back to back to back to back? Was that too many? Back to back to back. the filming of it was probably. I'm intrigued by it. It's like one giant movie that probably took some time to make, and then the fact that it has all these elements of all the slasher horror, teen horror elements to it. I was like, I want to. I definitely got to watch this. And by the way, Stranger Things, there's no shortage of Stranger Things actors in it. We get 2, right? We get at least 2. Yeah, so I was intrigued, and then I posted too. I wanted to see if people wanted me to talk about it. At first, people were hitting the no. They didn't. People were like, "Don't talk about it," and then it shifted, and eventually, the yays have it. And for the people who are saying no, you should check this out. If you liked Stranger Things too, you might feel those vibes. You might like this because of that. But it is different. It's totally not Stranger Things at all. But it's just, it has that teen vibe to it that intrigued me. So we can talk about like just basic, what works, what doesn't work. I think like I said, the execution of it is very ambitious overall, and that's what hooked me. It was just seeing the billboards that hooked me and it made me want to see it. Yeah, it's just a very creative way to do it. Very creative way to do it. 3 movies released weekly. It's different. It's not something so that's what made me even intrigued in the first place. Yeah, it's just not something we're used to. And then the fact that it's R.L. Stine, I read up on it, and then I was like, oh yeah, Goosebumps. And then he did a more mature one. He did the teen. He's always been that guy. He did the teen Fear Street, the young adult horror movies, the young adult horror novels that he did. The Fear Street series that he did is what this is loosely based on. And that made me like it too, because it's that teen horror energy that I do actually like. I like those kind of stories and movies and shows and whatever. Remember the old Goosebumps show, dude? That was something I used to watch as a kid, man, and it used to freak me out. So cheesy, but it was like so good back then. I'll never forget some of those are just burned in my brain, some of those episodes. Particularly Forever Until I Die. The Skinwalker episode, where they're looking through the specific night vision camera and they see the werewolves going into the house, peeling their skin off, coming out as humans. Dude, there were some good, there were some freaky fucking episodes of that show, man. But yeah, R.L. Stine, man, and I never read any Fear Street, but it added to my intrigue about this. And then and it is only loosely based. It's totally its own thing, it's its own storyline, which is good too, because it should be. It's very, very ambitious. And then I like all the different little like homages things. I say homages. They pay homage to a lot of old, different just cultural things from American cinema, TV, horror, anything really, sci-fi even, just a bunch of different stuff. I immediately got Stranger Things vibes because that's what Stranger Things does, and there's an undertone there that's very similar. It's obviously more horror and less sci-fi, but all the different things that are clearly influences on this trilogy, like the part 1 is very Scream, right? Part 2 is very Friday the 13th with the camp, and then part 3 is like that, like total jump to it's a very specific kind of horror movie, like The Witch, Robert Eggers, or Hocus Pocus, or anything from that era, even like 17th century. Even Terrence Malick's fucking The New World kind of vibes. Anything like that and there's a immediate creepiness that can just play into that that era for some reason, because it was the time of the Salem witch trials, was the 17th century. That's why we always think of creepy sometimes when we think of that era. And then, of course, the fact that it jumps back to 1994 and gives us a second part that we didn't see coming. I mean, we saw it coming because they had to conclude. They had to conclude, but they actually title it that way, which I liked. And make it like a little final chapter kind of thing. Oh, I got a tickle in my fucking throat. And then, of course, the merging of the timelines and connecting of everything through one basic through line was really... That's why this worked at the end of the day, is because it allowed for each chapter of the story to have serious importance and have impact on each one having an impact on the other, and making all of them important and all of them kind of must watches. Like, you need to watch all three to even get it. It's not like you can watch three and really the fact that there is this a natural flow of events was good. And I think too, because the third one concludes the narrative well, that it helped elevate the other two, because it somehow helped that each one kind of got better. The first one was the worst one, the second one was better, and then the third one was the best, in my opinion. Just because of the twist, because of the way it concludes, and because of the way it parallels things, too. There's a lot of things that I liked about learning who's who, what's what, and then the parallels in the other two films that help allow for arc and change and different things like that. For example, they hint to the whole twist, because Nick Good in the second one, as a kid at Camp Nightwing, there's a moment with him where he literally has blood on his hands from the kids that are slaughtered, and that is literally a foreshadow for the fact that he did that. Not directly, but indirectly. It might as well be directly. He fucking... That blood on his hands is... Yeah, it's totally on him. He fucking did it. And the fact that in that same moment, the other counselor comes running up to him and sees the blood and says, "Did you do this?" And it turns out he fucking did, dude. And all those things, when you're watching and you're like, where are we going with this? And then you get the twist. That's why it helped elevate the other two. So, and at first, don't get me wrong, too. I mean, it was a good twist, but I didn't care for it at first. I was like, is that really? Because it is predictable, but I still didn't see it coming. The fact that it's very basic a twist, and like, okay, like, it could have been done, like, what else could they have done, I guess, really? There were a couple, I'm sure that, but like, it's not something that was so like, oh wow, that's really good. I never saw that coming. You could have seen this coming, but it still got me, and then it helped me. I was immediately going back to things in the other chapters, and it helped to elevate the other films. So that's good. That helps. And I mean, what didn't work? Sometimes it felt like some of the characters felt kind of they just like were acting as like surrogates for whoever was the main character, just kind of, what's the word, like helping to drive her or his story further but not having any real agency on their own. And that's not every character, because a lot of the supporting characters were actually really good. Sometimes I felt like Dina's girlfriend there, which Sam. Yeah, Sam. Sometimes she just feels too much like the damsel role. And it's funny too, because you're playing with the damsel role in a gay relationship, but it's still the damsel role. It doesn't matter that it's progressive, and I mean I like their relationship and I like the whole dynamic, but that's the whole thing. That's at the heart of this whole thing is the story about them, and her, and them being free of all of it, man, all the chaos and pain. But sometimes I just didn't feel like she had any real agency of her own. Always needed to be saved, was always in some kind of fucking situation. But, yeah, I don't know. That's really kind of a smaller thing. I didn't like how I'm a little confused sometimes on who the devil's minions, right? The past killers that come for whoever they're coming for, whoever they're hunting. I'm a little shaky on who's in their way, because sometimes they'd kill someone that they weren't going after, and I'm like, did they need to kill that person? The cop in the third one, right? What that lets them know they're there at the mall. Was that cop really in his way? I don't know. Sometimes I was a little confused on why they were going after certain people. But if you think about it for a second, you're like, oh, that's why. Like, even Ziggy, I had to remember that she bled on the hand, and that let her see, and therefore that's why they were going after her. Because for a while there, I was like, why would they be going after Ziggy? It's the other girl with the short hair that touched and saw, and But then, yeah. That's whatever. And then the first one, for some reason, didn't keep me as hooked. Like, it would be hard to rewatch it, because it starts really nice. It's got that whole Scream feel to it, but it's like, for some reason, doesn't keep me hooked. And there's a repetitiveness to the climaxes. They're all the same climax. You know what I mean? That was a little annoying. Because after a while, you're getting the same the whole same spiel with the same killers and I don't know, just kind of, I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's it. I'll rate it a different way, because I think I'll rate all three and then do like an overall rating. All the nods to things are cool. Like, there's a lot of nods to past slasher movies and horror movies and teen movies and sci-fi movies and all that. Even the way they structured it was like Back to the Future. That whole idea of like, you go to one time period, then another, and then the third one's like the way back one. That's very Back to the Future-ish. Yeah, and the Fear Street books, that nod, you probably didn't even catch it, but the books that she uses, Dina, at the end of the third one, as a vest to protect herself, real quick, she tears them off. Those were all Fear Street books. But anyway, overall, the most important point of this review is that you should know that it's enjoyable enough. So, I mean, I give the first one a 7.3. It was just okay. The second one a 7.8. It was good. And the third one an 8.0. It was good. and it was the best one, and it concluded everything in a satisfying way. Overall, 7.7. Solid trilogy. Solid horror trilogy, which is good because we don't always get solid horror movies, especially trilogies. So good trilogy, but the most important thing you should know is that it's enjoyable enough and very watchable, and even rewatchable. Although probably not so much, because now you know the twists, and I don't know, you probably can't. But full-blown watch, definitely. And don't watch this episode till you watch, because I just told you the whole thing. It's you definitely want to see it and have it unfold for you. Then it's really enjoyable. Otherwise, probably not rewatchable. But good horror trilogy. I don't want to say it's just okay. It's definitely not great or amazing, but I definitely don't want to say that it's just whatever. It was good. Like, it was enjoyable. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Why is my throat dry all of a sudden? Because I need some water. Let's finish out this episode. How about our behind the camera episode 13 of season 2? I think so, too. I think I'm accurate on that. Yeah. Giving the vibes of this, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. Or I guess favorite horror movies. I don't think I'd put this in my top fucking 10, but it's a go-to forever for the rest of my life. There is no denying the impact that the 1996 satirical slasher classic Scream had on our culture. But did you know that the original title for the film was actually Scary... Fuck, dude, I kind of want to do it again. Because I stuttered. Dude, I only did a little bit of that. I'm going to go again. There is no denying the impact that the 1996 satirical slasher classic Scream had on our culture. But did you know that the original title for the film was actually Scary Movie? Yeah, literally Scary Movie. And of course that later went on to become the title of another actual movie. I also find it chilling that it was inspired by a real-life story of a series of murders in Gainesville, Florida, where a killer, Danny Harold Rowling, went on a spree of student murders. Of course, screenwriter Kevin Williamson was also inspired by his favorite movie, the 1978 classic Halloween. I also love the fact that Drew Barrymore was actually cast in the lead role, but made the artistic decision to instead play Casey Becker from the opening scene, as a way to throw off audiences to believe that an actress of her stature at that time should surely survive the movie. This decision came 5 weeks before production began, and Wes Craven only agreed to direct the film because he saw that Barrymore was cast in the lead, so she also threw off the man in charge. He would stay on to direct the movie. Other facts include it taking 21 nights to shoot that big climactic scene at the end, and the iconic mask the killer wears was actually a simple off-the-shelf product at a local Halloween store that they picked up while they were shooting. And the less surprising fact is that it was almost given an NC-17 rating, something that seems to almost happen a lot more often than you realize with many, many movies. Scream is still and will forever be my go-to watch every Halloween.
Why did you kill my mother? Why?
Why?
You hear that, Stu? I think she wants a motive. I don't really believe in motive, Sid. I mean, did Norman Bates have a motive?
No.
Did they ever really decide why Hannibal Lecter liked to eat people?
Don't think so.
See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid. We did your mom a favor, Sid. That woman was a slutbag whore who flashed her shit all over town like she was Sharon Stone or something.
Yeah, it would put her out of her misery, because let's face it, Sidney, your mother was no Sharon Stone.
I still fucking stuttered words in there. God, I'm just so off my fucking game tonight. How about our poll, our question, our fun, like weekly Instagram post that sparks a lot of debate? I thought this past one would be more of a conversation starter, but not so much. I don't have that following to get it done. The week before was good. Spider-Man debate was legit. It's the best one we ever had, I think. This week I'm going to ask, what is the best horror film based on a book? And that list could fucking go on forever, but there's the obvious ones. I'll narrow down my top 5. And also, you might be surprised at a couple of them that are actually based on books. But, like, for instance, Jaws, which is in here. Like, Jaws is, I forgot about that, but that was based on a book. My favorite is because I'm a big Stephen King fan, The Shining. But, Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, The Exorcist, and then I forgot that Psycho, the Hitchcock classic, was also based on a book. So, there's a bunch. Anything Stephen King anything that's been adapted from him. And then, because he does mostly horror, there's a whole bunch, but that's basically my top 5. And then my recommendations this week: Stranger Things. Just cause, dude. I don't think there's anyone who hasn't seen that, but if you haven't and you're watching or listening to this right now, get out from whatever rock you've crawled under and go watch it, because it's one of the best shows we've ever had on TV. And then Goosebumps, in the realm of R.L. Stine, that movie that they did with Jack Black. I'm not just recommending it for you, I'm recommending it for me. And if you think I shouldn't watch it, comment below or comment on Insta or wherever you see this. Let me know if I should watch it. I haven't, but I didn't have a movie recommendation, so I thought I'd bring that up as a way to be like, okay, should I watch this? Should you watch this? Yeah. Dr. Sleep. Speaking of Stephen King, I read a lot of Stephen King. Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining. There's a book, there's a movie. Go read the book, and then go watch the movie with Ewan McGregor. But yeah, that's our episode this week, guys. As usual, shout out to the patrons, because you're the best. Billy Thomas, Jessica Murphy, Mike Morganti, Linda Morganti, Dylan Morganti, another Morganti, a few more Morgantis, a few more Morgants, Tijan Construction, all of them. Thank you. And you can become a patron too by going to patreon.com/preacher. Yeah, no joke. It's there. It is there. If you get this deep in, you'll know that. You'll know that. And then follow me at the Benji. Follow the show at Screen Preach. Which, regardless of what I decide to do with the podcast, I'll probably keep running that page because it's fun to run that page. So definitely go follow at Screen Preach. subscribe to BMS Studios on YouTube. That's where the episodes are. Visit my website at emergencystory.com for my written work, my actual work, however you want to. Biker Club. I'm really curious if that's like Hell's Angels whenever they come through. I'm seriously curious about that. Probably not, but maybe. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching and listening, and I appreciate anyone who does and who keeps coming back. I have been getting some more subscribers. I seem to be getting a couple new subscribers every week. Thank you. So yeah, come back next week for the next episode, episode 64. That's where we're at now. I don't know what I'm going to pick yet, but you know the list. You've seen it. There's a few different ones, and that's it. And Loki, I mean, that's it. No more, so we'll do the draft segment, and we wait for the next Marvel recaps to begin. I'm going to start up a couple new posts, and it'll be fun, and keep this train moving. Thanks, guys.